absurd in their sighing recurrence of syllables and births. Branches converging with autumnal nudity, the wings of the clock both strike to futurity. We lurch like a dream, still crimson with energy, a synergy of all that drips into the pits we inhabit to breed and find mirror and simmer in our golden cages, our acrobatics of sin, whilst our pallors are so thin on our faces like tickets to the show. At the end of our lives we will only glimpse in snatches, blinks, heart-rended patches, our desires withdrawn and our cherished impacts, our missions configured and our hopes re-exact. There, in the pulpit, in the limelight of our age, will you, nodding emblem of all hoped for and just, determine what follows and organise what must. Thank you very much.
It's called Devil's Advocate. It's, I've been fiending for the American dream. Recently I've been trying to find the perfect place where I can establish a self-righteous nation state, where I can make a mint and chat a lot of shit and elbow my way into global politics and do it all in the name of freedom.
So your first word should be one of integral importance.
Erupted from a toddler's lips into the sunlight and family faces, clear blue air between their shoulders. It sprung, half gargled, unknowing of its need, its past or its future.
With no attention to intonation or contagious grammar infatuation.
That cake, neglected, begged for your appetite.
Did you eat that slice of pears? A chocolate stare shaking its head. The deed was done. The far from Eden
like what lasting light lingers, what bitter monochrome bursts, the bud, the epic beam, the crumbling thud.
The stairs creak, the wind outside howls, the house a vortex of brooding silence and pregnant shadow. Your bedroom is not far away, but with each breathless step it seems further. Behind you a monster imaginary that makes all words appear redundant.
I'm almost in love with you.
Be careful.
70% in love with you.
You're gone.
Maybe more in love with
you. Might
you.
get away.
Yes, it's quite probable I might love you.
Be strong.
Someday.
Be strong.
One day.
Be strong.
A day.
Be strong.
When I stepped off the metal bird and grew my own wings, I was
as fuzzy as a bumblebee, floating about in a Haagen-Dazs cloud. Gravity is just too loud.
Too loud for us to hear when young. The voices above us swirl from mouths above whose words recur, all clothed in laughter and love. Syllables captured by memory enraptured like lightning, the past illuminated in all its ventricles of heads and images and threads that weave our waltzes backwards
in reverse till we are again in the present. The present. Present?
Yes, miss.
Rowan, how would you describe yourself in one word?
I'm purple. Ridiculous, ridiculous.
Välkommen. Ni har relokaliserats till Sverige, Hjälbo. Welcome. You have been relocated to Hjälbo, Sweden.
Multitudinous and assembling, reassembling and disassembling meanings.
First jewels, then frosts,
then kisses, then mirrors. Strobed with a loss that I never quite found meaning to. I was never quite meaning to end up here.
Around your grave we stood as gravel settled. This great man who, they said, who meant so much and to so many, and tears begrudged their sad descent as you descended, as we all wished you wouldn't. This great man who, they said. Who?
Who is who?
I thought. That word is a question. It names no one while searching for anyone to fill its grasp. Who were you to be termed as a word? They can never contain all the places and lives where you lived in turn in the minds of so many. Did that who capture you, I wondered? As we all walked away, one. And who were you?
I was. Time in my little life lost for words. They weren't dizzy, not grasping, not spun around in joyful circles, and absent, just lost, unsure of what was down.
A saxophone bleeds at the neighbour's window, down the blistered bricks of a house towards a garden. Every strand of grass assumes a rhythm, every movement begins to assume the motions of answers of yin and yang. The garden flourishes with its notes. When silence encircles the sounds and they softly diminish, we are left wanting more, and still do.
And the first time I saw a dead man was the first time he died, smashed and beautiful in a gravel grave of crushed cars. And it was the first time I understood the word life. And it was the first time I understood love. And who I am.
Tomorrow is the culmination.
Yesterdays.
When I let those yesterdays recede,
I will become today.
I will become the present.
Leonard Straw, he was a sailor, and he sailed out every day, harangued the fish with many a splinter, harangued the girls with his sailor's way. Leonard Straw, he streamed out sonnets for the bonny across the moor, dreamed of her taunting pale tresses, and her lacy underdresses, almost to excess. But Beatty Brown, she was a seamstress, and she owned needles large and small. So she sewed Mr. Straw a bonnet and said they should attend the ball. Now Leonard Straw couldn't comprehend it, a bonnet for a boyish brain. He'd the mind to surely ruin it. But Beatty knew she held the reins. My love, we will dance like dusters on the royal pinewood floor. You the bonny sailor's mistress, and I the sweet sailor upon the shore. We will dine in all the fancies and drink their wine till we are spent. We will dip our toes in silver, and with that we'll pay the rent. Now Leonard Straw, he was a sailor, and he did know how to fish, but what a catch had he caught this time? Something too large for his small dish. So they went to the ball at sunset. He a girl and she a boy. He with ringlets, she with moustache. She all proud and he all coy. And it's true they danced like dusters, hearts so free and feet so light. Leonard Straw had never followed, but it seemed to feel just right. He felt calm, and he felt nurtures in Beatty's manly stride. He felt loose and he felt limber. He could feel the woman inside. And they pocketed many a fancy from the gardens of the estate, exotic plant seeds from the store shed and languid figs and stoutly dates. And next day they went to market, he the milkmaid with her cow, she the market lad with treasures to seek his byway to the bow. And they swapped their seeds for farmland, and there they built a house, and on Midsummer's Eve they married, she the groom, and he her rosy spouse. And they lived till they were 90. He a woman, she a man, and they died in their deep slumber, cheek to cheek and hand in hand. Once, Mr. Mina made a mistake. She found your handkerchief and hid it in her pillowcase. And then she dreamt of you, your salted skin against her trembling tongue, your eyelids bathed in moonlight and mysteries. She awoke with a hole in her chest, saw it in the mirror she did, big enough to insert a fist and round enough to roll out soul tunes. Dr. Knotts told her to take a lozenge and to avoid manual labour, but her job didn't allow that, and she was already in money trouble as it was. So she went to work, tried to hide the hole, wore a baggy shirt tie-dyed crimson, but then a drunkard tried to touch her up. Well, you can imagine his horror when his clumsy hand went just that little bit too far. The whole room hushed as she stood on the tips of her toes and dropped jelly babies and love hearts all over the floor. "See how they squelch!" she cried. "Thin baby, thin baby, fat, how about that?" But then she got itchy as she stamped on their gelatinous bodies. And lo and behold, the hole was even bigger, this time big enough to insert a man's big head. Her boss was too scared to ask what was happening, and the chef was oblivious, spreading chutney on ciabatta irritably and swearing at the smoked duck. So Mr. Mina got on stage. "What is it?" she scoffed into the mic. "We've heard about the hole before, but we never actually saw it," said a mouse clinging onto a cola bottle. Take a long, hard look, said Misdemeanor, and then tell me whether you've seen it before, or whether you just chose not to notice it. One by one, the spectators started to leave. Slowly at first, but then they were panicking, pouring out of emergency exits and slipping over puddles of passion fruit sorbet. She was left, alone, half naked in the spot. Surely without presence, something doesn't exist. When she got back home, she found your hanky again, stained and begging, and she swallowed in one stony gulp. A patch to avoid, she announced, and the whole appeared in the light of day again.
They left it, they left it, they left it 21 years ago. They had to say goodbye. They had to say goodbye. They had to leave their family, their farm, their whole life and history. The traces of bread crumbs are long now vanished. They knew they would never be able to return again. Meeting nothing but unfamiliar faces, unable to speak, to communicate. 2 years after, they were promised the land of honey and milk, only to discover that the milk was sour and the honey was bitter. She had studied for years, but then were told it was all worth nothing, nothing. Now, having 2 children, she was stuck. Her years lost, loans for rent, for furniture, life being minuscule. Nowhere. Without anyone, without anything, without any help, she did it. She tried all 3 beds, looking just for the right one. She suffered, and she came through it. But here I am, afraid of choice, of wandering the woods, to start somewhere new, completely new, only to find out that what I was set out to achieve was really never achievable. So where does that leave me? In constant fear? In a dark place? Or just terrified of ending up there? Always uncertain of what I'm seeking, for reasons why and where.
So lately I've been jamming with Mandy, again, and I know all of my mates think Mandy's great, but to be perfectly honest, we really needed to take a break. And after like 6 months away, the nature of our relationship has changed. Strange when I saw her, that glowing golden aura gone, replaced by a gaunt face and hollow eyes that eyes that once upon a time had gazed so wildly into mine. A time when my body and mind were at Mandy's mercy, and we would take to the Friday evening genuinely believing that love and peace were within our reach. But now, all those conversations that were have stopped, and we're locked in this cynicism, bitter about the love we've lost. Grapple with a false happiness for a while, flash each other a couple of nostalgic smiles, and it's not like I never want to see Mandy again. I really am glad that we're still friends, but ours was a whirlwind romance. Once that seemed like it would never end, then just did. So, a swift kiss on the cheek at a party down the line is all, and I'm left at a loose end to call on a trusted old friend for a laugh and some. And I wonder, will I ever quite as much as I love this one, Mary J.
I spent ages trying to figure out this first line, but I just couldn't seem to find clever rhymes that could define what's very deep within my heart. I'm sure that if the rhythm of its constant beating could be translated into speech, it would be speaking the words, I love you. And it's funny, because some would say I've fallen under the spell of insanity because I haven't seen your complete physique, but I can't help it if I'm totally blown away by your personality. See, every time you speak to me, I'm speechless.